It's my lucky day. It's my lucky day. It's my lucky day. My lucky day. Don't need a pot of gold.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome back. Today is October 5th, and I want to welcome you to episode 46 of Coffee and Cloud Native. My name is Adrian Goins, and every night except for the last 2 weeks, I and my army of bots scour the internet for news and content related to Kubernetes and Cloud Native, and every day you will find me here to share the bits that I find interesting. This is a curated list of content. I'm looking at a chat window over there, that's why I look like a crackhead. This is a curated list of content. I go through around 200 submissions every night, and I select just a handful of them for the next day's show. These are the tools and the products and the things and the stuff that I would use, and I want to share them with you. Now, if you're watching now or in the future, please click the thumbs up button on the video so that the YouTube algorithm shares it with other people. You can subscribe to the channel or don't. Well, just do. Today's different. I'm a little nervous. I'm like, I don't even remember how to do the show. We have some news and stuff, and we have a chatbot that's not working. So, we have some stuff to announce today. I've been gone for 2 weeks, and for the first week of that, I felt just as tired as I was before I went on vacation. For the second week of that, I felt better. And I feel great today. I feel rested. But you come back from vacation and like you've totally forgotten what it is you're supposed to do. I made some changes. First of all, I haven't even checked this. Let's see if this is even working. I now have a Twitch channel. And I will be moving. Hey, look at that. It says I'm live. Okay. I will be moving the live stream to Twitch, and there's nobody there yet. Now, what's supposed to happen and what's not happening today is there's a bot that's supposed to aggregate. Hey, Nuno's there. Well, hello. So there's a bot that's supposed to be aggregating the chat from YouTube, from Twitch. Oh, Boolean operator. I'm not even sure who that is. Okay, so we have people on Twitch. We have people on YouTube. For this week, I'll be streaming to both Twitch and YouTube at the same time. But starting next week, I will only be live streaming to Twitch, after which I'll take the video and I'll upload it to YouTube. I might do that the same day. I might do that the next day. It depends on how much work is involved. Oh, hello. I know who Boolean operator is now. So that's thing number one. And you're probably wondering, oh my gosh, why are you going to do that? And it's actually because of YouTube. YouTube treats live streams differently than it treats uploaded video content. It figures live streams are like Britney Spears concerts or something like that, and nobody really wants to go back and watch them after they watched it the first time. Not that anybody necessarily wants to watch a Britney Spears concert in the first place. Some people do. If you do, no judging, no judging. After the stream ends, it's popular for a few days, and then they stop recommending it to people. The content that I have in these streams, I'm actually going to take my stupid face off of the screen there. The content that I have here, I look like I'm kissing something, is, how are we going to get this? I'm going to have to break this window out and drag it somewhere else. Okay, now I'm going to drag that over there so that I can watch both of these things happening at the same time. I don't know what I'm doing. The content that I have here has a longer tail than a few days, and so I want YouTube to continue to recommend it to people so that we can share it with as many people as possible. The only way I can do that is if I upload the videos. So that's why. Twitch also cares more about building a community. YouTube cares more about showing ads. So that actually leads me to the second thing. In my 2 weeks of luxurious, relaxing vacation, I did a lot of things because I'm not capable of actually just not working. Well, I didn't work. I mean, that's not true. I worked because I wasn't on vacation from work. I was just on vacation from here. I built a Discord server for you all. Why did you build a Discord server? We can already chat on YouTube. Because, once again, it comes back to YouTube. When the stream ends, YouTube shuts down the chat. So if you want to talk about anything that you saw in the stream, too bad. no love for you. I want a place where we can continue to talk about things. And so that's a Discord server. So during the live streams, there is a live chat channel where live chat will be happening. And there's also a voice chat channel, which I'm not using yet. My stretch goal is to figure out how I can actually like have a headphone in and y'all can be like, hey, bro, talk about this. Because I want this to be more interactive. I don't want it to be me just talking to the camera and occasionally WifeBot being, check the chat. And then I go back later and I see that most of the real interesting stuff happens in the chat. I would like the show to be more of us talking about things, me being able to look at the chat and see what you guys are saying, what you're interested in. Oh, I used this. Oh, I didn't. Oh, it's terrible. Oh, it's awesome. Look at that, whatever. I want it to be less about me just like doing a broadcast news channel and more about we're just hanging out for a half an hour talking about cool stuff that I found. Maybe we get through everything today. Maybe we don't. If not, we talk about it more tomorrow. And then we can continue talking after the stream ends. So that's Discord. You can see there's stuff scrolling along the bottom of the screen here, where you have these things. So there's a Discord invite there. If you hit that, it'll drop you into the server and you can figure it out from there. It's very bare bones at the moment because I believe in launching things with nothing planned, and then we'll figure it out. Additionally, as you see scrolling across the bottom, there is I'm like totally giving away something I'm going to talk about later. Go me. This is the Coffee and Cloud Native show. I happen to be the person talking to the camera, but it's not my show. It's not for me. It's for all of us. And what I've seen in the first 45 episodes is that there's a community that exists around the stuff that we're talking about, and that's a very active community with lots of things to share. We have people from multiple companies here. We have people who are following me on Twitter. We have companies who watch the show. We have products that I talk about, and I want to promote that community. So I said earlier that YouTube doesn't give us any tools for building community, but Twitch does. Discord is a communication tool for building community. Why Discord and not Slack? Because Slack will charge me, I think, $7 per user if I have a paid server, and I would like to see lots of people in this community. If you use the free version of Slack, it deletes messages after 10,000 messages, and in an active community, that can be a few days. So Slack, not designed for building community. Slack, designed for taking money. Discord, much better chat service. And so I rebranded the website on cncn.io, and I added some additional stuff. It's the same thing, but it's not adrian.goins.com anymore because it's now the CNCN Community. And here you'll find, oh, what's CNCN? So if you find the site, it'll tell you a little bit about what CNCN is. There's a show schedule, which actually takes you to Twitch. We'll come back to this in a second. Apparently, all I'm going to talk about today is this. I have other stuff to talk about. So there's a show schedule where you can see upcoming shows. And then there's this get involved thing. Obviously, you can do all this stuff on Twitch and Twitter and blah, 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 blah. Or, well, and you can come over here to community.cncn.io, which is something that I also built for you while I was on vacation. Think of this as like a little mini Facebook or a little mini LinkedIn or a little mini something where it's a home for all of us. This is free to you. I pay for it, but that's fine. This is free. Come here. There's like you have to knock to enter. It's a private group, but if you just answer the form, you'll get in. There's also, you can get invites. So if you're in here and you want to invite other people, you can just invite them and they'll be able to bypass the knock to enter thing. That just allows me to, whatever, if we get trolls in there, it allows me to boot them out. If it was just public, I wouldn't have any ability to do that. I don't think we'll get trolls, but it's the internet. Anyway, this is a place which is also, I've launched it with basically nothing there because I want you guys to start posting content. I want you to start talking about things. I want a place where we can have conversations about various things that I've talked about in the show. So once you log in, this is like your custom feed. If you're familiar with Facebook, you know how that works, except Facebook sucks. This is tailored to you. So you can follow topics, you can follow people, you can interact directly with one another. It'll make recommendations for people that you should talk to based on similar interests. You can configure and control this. There's the discovery page, which shows basically everything, including topics, which are also listed down here. Topics, very bare bones at the moment, but I just created, some places where we can post content related to things like hot new tech. I mean, that's basically everything I talk about on the show. Guides and tutorials. Did you find a cool thing on how to do something? Great, post it there. Did you yourself do something? Did you have a release? Did you succeed? Did you pass your CKA? Something like that. Post that here, and so we can all celebrate one another's success. I see stuff popping up on my little notification thing on the teleprompter, which means people are asking to get in. Wifebot, can you start letting people in? Wifebot will take care of you. And if you have a question about how to do something, post it in the I Need Help section. These topics will expand as I figure out more of what people want to talk about and where we can group those things together. I have big plans for this, and you're going to see more of that rolling out over the next month. I hate to talk about things before I actually do them. Just know that you're going to come here today and it's a little bit like, crickets, because I only showed it to like 4 people last week, or 5 people. I want this to be our home. So check it out. Yeah. So you can go to members, you can find people, and there's an invite link, and so you can click that, and you can either send us an email or you can copy a share link. You can paste that to anyone at all. Now, the Restream bot is totally going to get fired. Maybe I need to actually be logged into their stupid little thing. Hang on just a second here. Restream. Let's stop the streaming monitor. I might actually need to be logged into their chat server in order for it to do its thing. Chat app. Hold on. Open in browser. So the Restream bot is supposed to handle all this aggregation so that if we're chatting in Discord, it forwards it to Twitch. If you're chatting in Twitch, it forwards it to Discord. If you are doing anything, oh yeah, okay, hello? Is that gonna work? It says it's connected to services. Oh, now it works. Okay, great. So we learned. I have to actually be logged into their chat thingy, and now we will get aggregation between Discord and Twitch and stuff. Great. Yes. Super. Yes, there's tech going on here, Boolean operator. I've been gone for 2 weeks. There's a bunch of stuff going on. But yes, let's move on to the other stuff that we have to talk about today. Okay, so with that working, I can now jump back over to this Discord thing over here, and I'm going to pay more attention to the chat, which is way the hell over there. The objective being that this is going to be a much more social and interactive show. So what do we got? First of all, having nothing to do with this, a late entry is that, let's see, is it here? Okay, so Falco, I don't actually have Falco's URL. Falco, rock me Amadeus. I don't even know, is it falco.org? Sysdig.com, open source Falco. Okay. Falco now works out of the box with DigitalOcean Kubernetes service. This didn't work. This was one of the things that I tried to do over my 2 weeks. It was on my list of stuff. And there was some issue about the kernel modules that were available in the worker nodes for DigitalOcean Kubernetes service workers. And Dan and the team from Sysdig got that fixed. So now if you want to use Falco in DigitalOcean, it just works out of the box. Thank you so much for that. I will now put this back on the list of things to implement, which is, I mean, that's great. Next, Prometheus. Oh, Nuno says he's got invite links to send out. How can I get this back on the screen so it's more visible? Yeah, invite people to the community site. Like it's there for you guys. All right, we can put that there and I can see it. Excellent. Prometheus is like the de facto, I can't see my teleprompter anymore because of all the invites. Prometheus is kind of the de facto observability tool for Kubernetes clusters. It's free, right? But it's not without cost. I mean, free. It's not without cost. This is an article that's different from the normal articles that I've seen where it's like, here's how to deploy Prometheus. Jurgen has created a guide that says, okay, so Prometheus, great. Everybody, there's 1,000 things that show you how to deploy it. But there are hurdles you're going to have to overcome, kind of like day 2 operations, but for Prometheus. And he specifically targets those. In fact, he starts out with a disclaimer saying that he's not going to talk about high availability. It's more about how do you deploy it and how do you get people to use it. So not how do you deploy it like step by step, but how do you reduce the implementation cost, the technical debt associated with a Prometheus installation. And he identifies here in this article, which is part 1 of 2, he identifies 3 things that you can do straight away. First challenge, onboarding and configuring applications. If you really want to make Prometheus work for you, then, okay, I'm just ReStreamBot doing his thing. If you really want to make it work for you, you need to get it bound to all of the applications that you have running. So he addresses how to do that by using GitOps to stay in control. So doing automation via GitOps for deployment of the configuration related to the rest of your applications. Next he says, okay, great. So now you have all your applications putting stuff into Prometheus. How do you get that stuff reasonably into Grafana? Nuno wants a CNCN t-shirt. I would like to have t-shirts. I would like to have coffee cups, right? Shouldn't we have CNCN coffee cups and stickers? We can, I imagine a KubeCon where we can see, CNCN, the fam walking around the conference and be like, Wifebot says she'll design a t-shirt for us. So now you've got stuff in Prometheus, but you got to get it into Grafana. That's another heavy lift. He recommends, and this is something new that I haven't seen before, using code generators for configuration of all of the dashboard pieces. Okay, that speeds up configuration efforts. That's cool. And then he goes on to talk about how do you maintain configurations that are going to drift out of sync. Because now if you've got all these code generators, you have all of these dashboards, you don't want to be changing stuff in multiple locations. And for that, he actually recommends abstraction based on SRE concepts. And he talks about how to do that in here. And this is just part 1 of an article series. The next one, he's going to talk about a tool called Kepton, which I haven't heard of before. If you've heard about Kepton, please say something in the chat. Kepton. Why don't I have this in my history? I was looking at it last night. So he's going to talk about Kepton, which looks to be this. This is also open source, has, well, it's open source. I was going to say it has a free tier, but it's open source. I don't want to get into this here, but if you have used this, excuse me, if you have used this, it's a tool from Dynatrace, basically a service mesh. Okay. That's interesting because the previous article is actually sponsored by Dynatrace. But if it's open source, I mean, hey, cool. So when he comes out with a follow-up article on Kepton, maybe we'll get that into here. Next up, do you use Visual Studio Code? I do. Let me raise my left hand so that it actually stays in the camera frame. VSCode is a fantastic editor. It's fantastic. I barely use anything. I came from the Sublime Text world, and before that there was Eclipse, and before that there was, all the way back to just using text editors to write Java code before we actually had all these tools. This is, I'm dealing with content from the last 2 weeks here. So I saw this and I thought, okay, this is cool. They GA'd Bridge to Kubernetes. In its basic configuration, this allows developers to connect their local version of a microservice component to a development cluster or, God forbid, a production cluster, but don't do that. Allowing you to route traffic to your local instance, as you see in a little animation here, and perform all of your testing. Now you can have a dev cluster that multiple developers are sharing, and as long as you're isolating who's working on what, then you're good. Except you're probably not going to be able to isolate who's working on what. This expands its functionality. Do they have it as a graphic? They don't. But in their, where's the actual thing? in there, how it works, here you go. They have another animation. Let me blow this up a little bit. No, it doesn't blow up the animation. Okay. You can have it do routing per service. So you can also have it split out. So you can say, okay, just stuff coming from a particular connection route to my local dev environment, and the rest of it send through the regular one. And you can do this with multiple developers connecting multiple things. The way that this works is through some annotations and using Envoy. And it does all of this for you. You basically point it at a cluster and you say, go do your thing, and it sets up all of the route and service isolation with Envoy and handles it for you using these cool nip.io. That's another thing, like xip.io. And it's great. And when you're done, you say, tear it all down, and it just tears it all down for you. I haven't actually used this, but I do regularly get into conversations with people about how to do development in Kubernetes clusters. One of the guys at a company that I can't talk about yet. I know somebody who's looking at Eclipse Shea, which looks very cool, but also looks like it's a pretty heavy lift. We've talked about Loft. We talked about all sorts of solutions that make it easier for developers to do local development with stuff going out to an actual Kubernetes cluster. And this looks like another tool that can do that. Since it's baked into VS Code, and since I use VS Code, I thought it was worth sharing. Vito asks, how does it compare to Octeto? I have no idea. Let's go look at Octeto. Kubernetes for developers. Well, first of all, it's free, whereas Octeto is not. Now, Octeto might have additional features based on the fact that when you have a paid service, you can build additional features. Looking at Octeto right away, I don't like that it sleeps after 24 hours. I don't like that it's isolated to one namespace and has a bunch of limitations that basically make it not practical for anybody who's really using it. If you're a freelance developer building your own stuff, probably this will work fine. Let's look at features. Even their Developer Pro one, I mean, come on, 2 namespaces for $20 a month. And then I really don't like when companies say, oh, how much does it cost for the tier that actually does something? You must come and talk to us. How about no? How about I don't come and talk to you, and how about I just go find somebody who's not so scared of their pricing that they'll tell me what it is? So right there, just looking at the pricing page, I wouldn't look at Octeto. Sorry, guys. Vito says you can use it for free with your own cluster. So yeah, if you're a freelance developer, if you're one person and you're developing something just for yourself, then probably it works fine. But imagine an organization who has multiple developers, or developers that need multiple namespaces, or that need to actually do real development things. When looking at solutions where there's a paid version and a free version, no, not free, but open source version that may have fewer features, or may have community support, or may have all of the things that open source software has, I believe that people are capable of, let's see, what do I want to say here? When comparing two solutions, I look for the one that's going to give the greatest amount of flexibility for the least amount of cost. I very much believe that organizations should pay for support and should pay for features that actually require, that the company spent a lot of time, or that they maintain infrastructure to provide for you. Like, the people who build the software should be compensated for it. But from the other side, I also believe that organizations who create software that has an open source model or has a free tier, that the free tier should be enough that the bulk of small businesses can use it. Small shops with 1 or 2 developers can use it. Not something that's so immediately hobbled that it's not even worth using. Like, it's more like a free trial. Okay. Hey, we got people figuring out that they can switch to Discord, and the Restream bot is doing its thing. All right. Bridge to Kubernetes, just to wrap this up, they had a webinar a couple of days ago, so I'll have this linked in the show notes, and you can go back and watch it and see how to actually get started using it. I was going to talk smack about VMware. You know what? I'm going to talk smack about VMware. Simply because in the week before I went on vacation, I talked about KubeAcademy. This was in episode 43. And I said that VMware has the money to create something of value. So why are they creating something that doesn't have value? They were doing like containers, intro to containers, or everything you need to know to get up and running with containers in like 1 minute and 43 seconds. Well, sure enough, last week they came out with KubeAcademy Pro, which is still free. But they say, oh, well, KubeAcademy, that's just if you want to dip your toe in the Kubernetes water. But if you want real training, come to KubeAcademy Pro, which is also free. I don't know how something free can be more free or why they're making it a different thing that's also free, but they're calling it Pro, except if we look at this with my marketing hat on, I'm guessing that people aren't actually signing up for KubeAcademy because the content sucks. So now they're hoping that people will give their mailing list, give their email addresses to KubeAcademy Pro so that VMware can market VMware solutions to them. Because ultimately, that's what VMware wants to do. Every single one of these instructors is either from Heptio, cool, or from VMware solution training people, which means that this, if I'm going to call this again in the future, anybody who signs up for this is going to start getting marketed VMware services, or they're going to start adding, I don't know what's better than Pro, Super Pro, Deluxe Pro, Pro Nation. They're going to have another tier that's paid that somehow they're going to get Tanzu into this because that's ultimately what they want to do. So good job, VMware, for adding some content that's now an hour long. Whatever. Hey, look at that. It's almost the end of the show. Most says that VMware listened to what I said 3 weeks ago. That's funny. They might have. I don't know. I know that people from VMware do watch because, well, anyway, we don't talk about that. So now the show has been about Adrian talks about content and Adrian reads the chat later. This show, we got off to a little bit of a slow start because I had some news to talk about. And I want this to really be Adrian watches the chat and Adrian talks about stuff. Has anybody seen the new Bill and Ted film? Is it even out yet? Oh, dude, did you see James Bond got punted to next year and that destroyed the movie theaters? That's sad. We do talk about chaos engineering on the show, and I had not heard of Gremlin before. So I found this article that talks about a time travel attack that you can run on your Kubernetes cluster. I thought that was pretty cool. So I went and looked up what Gremlin is, and they do have a comprehensive free tier. The time travel attack is pretty dope. It will reset the time on your Kubernetes cluster to something in the past, and that's a way to test things like, can you handle certificate expiration? Does your stuff crash if suddenly it's like 1943? I guess we can't do that. If it's 1972. And then looking at their platform, they look like they have a nice UI and you can select things and just define your blast radius and so on and so forth. I've never heard of this before last night. Unlimited attacks per target, 2 attack targets per month, community support. Their free tier, I think, is good enough for you to bash on a development cluster or a staging cluster. If you use this... yeah, if you use this, please let me know in the chat. I'm curious to know how it works in general. And certainly if you run their time travel attack, I'm curious. And I'm pretty sure this will crush anything that I have running. We do still have a tool of the day. Where is it? It's way out here, and it requires that I jump all the way out to the end. JetStack. These are the people that created Cert Manager. We all know and love Cert Manager, and I really like JetStack has mad credibility in my world. Version Checker, well, it in and of itself just checks the versions of container images that are running in your cluster. This is similar to something that we had from Fairwinds, which was in episode 10, and it was called Nova. But Nova checks Helm packages and tells you if there's newer versions that you should be running. This does it with just arbitrary container images. It has smart annotations, so you can configure and control what it checks, what it should care about. Should it care about major releases, minor releases, patch releases? But my favorite part is that it exports that as metrics to Prometheus. So you can now show it as a Grafana dashboard and generate alerts based on it. And this takes us back to observability from the very beginning. Trying to get all of your stuff into one place makes it easier for you and everybody in your organization to find the information that they care about, to know where they need to go look when something's going wrong. So having this in there as well increases the value of your observability platform. And, well, that's all we have time for today. I know I spent time talking about the news and updates. We're going to figure out the format of this over the course of this week, and it may be that I'll continue to stream to YouTube. That's unlikely. We'll figure out how much chat is right, how much news and stuff is right. Hey, Kai says he was searching for something like this. Very cool. Awesome. Yeah, really, it comes back to what I said, where I'm a little nervous. I had trouble sleeping last night. I kept waking up being like, oh, the stream is gonna fail tomorrow. And I'd have to calm myself down and go back to sleep and stuff. I want this to be, I'm not here to tell you guys what to do. I'm here to share things that I find. And I've been really bummed that there hasn't been a way for us to talk because of the way that I had the show formatted and the platforms that we were using and stuff. So I have high hopes that we'll be able to turn this more into a conversation where, you post things in the chat and I read them and maybe we even, oh my gosh, I still have the news crawler running. I'm sorry. So give me feedback. Join Discord, hit me up directly, tell me what you liked, what you didn't. If you have suggestions on ways that I can combine the chat interaction. Should I have it scrolling up on the screen there? I did that once before and somebody didn't like it, so I took it down. Let me know. Let's try to make this everything that you need it to be the most valuable for you. And now I've totally overtalked. So that means we have to wrap it up, right? That's what we're supposed to do now? I don't even remember. It's been 2 weeks. Oh, yeah. My outro is still for YouTube, so forgive me while I do my outro here. If you liked what you saw today, give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. I think on Twitch, you actually follow the channel, so follow us on Twitch. Subscribe to the channel on YouTube. I'm here every weekday. I will be here again every weekday. The next vacation is planned for the last 2 weeks of the year, so you've got everything for October, November, and half of December. I'll be here talking about stuff because there's always something new to talk about. All of the links and the timestamps will be up in the video description and on the CNCN.io website in about an hour. If you follow me on Twitter, I'll post stuff there. I don't know. This week's going to be crazy with trying to figure out where I should post stuff to get the most value. CNCN.io, you'll just see it there first. If you have something you'd like for me to consider for the show, hit me up and let me know. My contact details are in the video description. You can tweet with the CNCN hashtag and I'll pick it up. You can come find me on Discord. There's a bunch of stuff. If there's a tool that you use that I talked about, let me know in the comments. If there's something you'd like me to look at, let me know. I like hearing about people's experience with these things. Post stuff in the community site about tools that you're using that you like. If you know how to do something, start putting content over there so that other people can learn from your experiences and so we can all grow together. And yeah, this is the part where I say I'll be here every weekday, blah, 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 blah. I'm really glad to be back. I'm glad you all joined me today. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Keep learning. I'll see you tomorrow.